Thank you very much, Adriana. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining our CSW69 virtual event. The virtual panel discussion will highlight the progress and challenges of Nigerian women in security, governance, since the Beijing Declaration. This conversation will feature distinguished experts leading transformation efforts in nuclear security, biosecurity, and preventing violent extremism. Since the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, women have made progress in many areas, including health, leadership, and gender equality. However, there is still much work to be done. Our virtual session is focused on highlighting the voices of Nigerian women leading change. For those who do not know about WCAPS, let me briefly say, Women of Color Advancing Peace, Security, and Conflict Transformations is a chapter of the global WCAPS, which is based in New York. The chapter's first virtual group meeting took place on the 20th of February, 2021, by participants of the WMD workshop. There was a WMD workshop, Weapons of Mass Destruction workshop, and it was these participants of this Weapon of Mass Destruction workshop that formed a group following a request by the then Ambassador Bonnie Jenkins, who was the founder of WCAPS. So my first conversation with former ambassador and immediate past US Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, Ambassador Bonnie Jenkins, took place on the 4th of March, 2021. We agreed by consensus on the chapter leadership, and thereafter a meeting of the chapter leaders took place. And this took place on the 15th of March, 2021. Several structural meetings with the WCAPS headquarters represented by Ms. Ileana Vale took place between May and July 2021. And then we agreed to formally launch the chapter on the 29th of July 2021. Thereafter, chapter monthly meetings and presentations took place. The first chapter meeting was by a leadership team presentation, where we looked at work-life balance. And this was presented in July 2022, almost a year after the launch of the chapter. Then we split into groups, and then we made group presentations. The first group was on leadership. The first group was on effective parenting, a means of ensuring peace and security in the society, with presenters Dr. Mrs. Precious Etino-Saiko, I think she's with us today, and Dr. Comfort Bandu, and Dr. Fatima Dantanko, and this took place in August 2022. The second group presentation was on securing the health of the nation, exposing the subtle nature of hepatitis. We had presenters Dr. Chidinma Azike and Dr. B.W. Mo Igwe in September 2022. The third group made a presentation on biosecurity bridges to promote peace and security in the developing countries, the role of women. Presenters were Gloria Hunene Michael and Dr. Rhoda Nwalozie in October 2022. These are just sample presentations. The chapter has continued to organize series of webinars addressing issues of insecurity and how insecurity affects girls' education in the north and in the south of our country. Areas of focus of our chapter include non-proliferation and nuclear security, disarmament, and insecurity and insurgency. You can find out more at www.wcaps.org. The expert panelists, led by Isebo Mercy Ebele, Professor Usman Aliyu Dusema, and Chioma Eguagu and Dr. Chioma Anorwe, are all experts in their fields. I would like to mention that in consideration of the Muslim fasting, I know that is the Lent period as well, but given the defined timing of the Muslim fast, Professor Duzema will take his 2 panel questions, one after the other, and he may then be able to drop off. At this juncture, I would like to acknowledge our keynote speaker today and read her brief citation. The citation of the panelists will be taken at the appropriate time. Our keynote speaker, Mrs. Ethel Ofuegu, serves as the Assistant Director at the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority with 18 years of regulatory experience. She holds an MSc in Applied Geophysics and a postgraduate diploma in Disaster Risk Management from the University of Twente in the Netherlands. As Deputy Coordinator of Nigeria's Nuclear Security Support Center, she brings expertise from her participation in the International Atomic Energy Agency missions and experiences as an instructor for international regulatory organizations. I present to you our keynote speaker, Mrs. Ofuegu. Let's amplify Nigerian women's voices in peace and security. I want to use this opportunity to thank Nosarieme for the unwavering support.
Good evening, everyone.
The great work she has done, as she puts in to put this together. Many thanks to WCAPS headquarters for trusting our chapter to pull this through, to pull this off. We look forward to a great session, and I welcome you all once again. Thank you very much. I present to you Mrs. Ethel Ofuegu for the keynote speech.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof, for this kind of introduction. And good evening, everyone. Just like Prof said, my name is Ethel Ofuegu, working with the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority as a nuclear security inspector and also as a trainer. Thank you so much for inviting me. Hello? Yeah. Can we share the slide? Is it now that you want me to make that person? Okay, good, great. Thank you so much. So this evening, I will talk through this Honorable House through the overview of Nigerian nuclear security regime. The goal of this presentation will be to let's go to the next slide. Yes. We'll look at some of the international instruments that Nigeria has committed to, both the legally binding and the non-legally binding instruments. I will also look at the application of ionizing radiation in Nigerian economy. We'll look at some of our national legislations bordering on nuclear security. And then we also have to look at through some of our regulatory framework to ensure that nuclear and other radioactive material within the Nigerian territory is properly secured and is handled safely. Please, the next slide. So the goal of this presentation will be for me to provide an overview on our nuclear security regime and also women participation in the regime. Let's go. The next slide, please. Okay, so overall, the regime objective is to ensure the protection of life, property, and the environment from harmful effects of ionizing radiation resulting from nuclear security events or threats thereof. Let's go. The next slide, please. So let's look at some of the application of ionizing radiation in the Nigerian economy. If you look at this particular slide, you will see that we have several applications of ionizing radiation in our economy. Because most times, I know that I've faced this question severally when I introduce myself that I work with the nuclear regulatory body. Somebody will ask me, do we have any nuclear weapon in the country? Do we have any nuclear energy? What are you doing for Christ's sake? So most times I sit them down to talk them through what the nuclear regulatory body does. Now, even though we don't have nuclear energy currently, though we have plans to introduce nuclear energy in our energy mix in Nigeria, Nigeria has several applications of nuclear technology in our economy. So if you look at the health sector from the picture, you see where radioactive sources are used for the treatment of diseases in the hospitals for diagnosis, right? Then you look at the petroleum industry, which is the main source of income for the Nigerian economy as it stands today. We use it in well logging and also in non-destructive testing to check the integrity of wells, right? In the manufacturing sector, the bottling companies, you use it as gauges, level gauges. In the construction companies, they can be used as density gauges, moisture content gauges. So several applications of this technology. In education and training, like in Zaria, we have the only research reactor in the country that is used for training and research purpose. We also have a gamma irradiation facility that is used for sterilization and also for research and other applications for agricultural purpose. In our mining sector, in the agricultural sector, we have various applications of this technology in our economy. So what do we have to do? We have to ensure that this material is used safely and securely. Please, let's go to the next slide. Now, the question is, why do we have to worry about nuclear security? We know that nuclear terrorism and illicit trafficking of nuclear and other radioactive material remains a serious concern. If you go to the IEA ITDB database, you will see several cases that have been reported of missing material, of material that is being trafficked, okay? And we have also instances of where people want to use this material for malicious purposes. And we in Nigeria will have large quantities of this material that is being used in the various sectors of our economy. Therefore, the possibility of this material being diverted or being used for terrorist acts cannot be ruled out completely. What does it mean? National and international embarrassment that this might cause to our country, Nigeria, or any other country that this happens. Therefore, we need to ensure the security of our people, the security of our environment, and ensure that these materials are handled safely. Let's go to the next slide. So for us in Nigeria, we have recorded several terrorist activities in the country. But God so kind, we've not recorded any terrorist activity that involved the use of nuclear or other radioactive material, which the effect would have been very, very devastating. If you look at this slide, you can recall in 2011, the United Nations House in Abuja, the seat of power, was bombed by terrorist group. The same 2011, we recorded bombing of several police stations. Even the headquarters in Abuja was equally bombed by terrorist group. Bombing of shopping complex in Abuja in 2014, the Nyanya bus station bombing, which killed several people, and we recorded several marketplaces bombing in Nigeria in early 2010 up to 2014. Now, you could have imagined if any of these explosives had radioactive material incorporated in them, the effect would have been very, very devastating. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Now, what is the concern? Radioactive sources can be abandoned. We've recorded cases where sources got missing, sources got abandoned at work sites, then probably because of a militant group attacking the workers, they abandoned the source at the site. So these are the concerns. How do we ensure that these materials are secured? That is the work that the regulatory body does in Nigeria. Thank you. Let's go to the next one. So this one. In Nigeria, the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority was established in 2001 operationally. Though the act that established the NNRA was enacted in 1995, Act 19 of the NNRA did not come into operation until 2001, when the research reactor in Zaria was about to import the nuclear fuel. So that was one of the conditions that the international community gave to the Nigerian government, that you must have a competent regulatory body for the nuclear material to be shipped to Nigeria. So Nigerian government quickly activated the regulatory body to start operation in 2001. But prior to 2001, we have been using radioactive material in our economy, in the well logging, in teaching industry, and the rest. So when the NNRA came into operation in 2001, we experienced several cases of missing and lost radioactive sources. These sources were imported without the right authorization, and people use it, and you don't get to know who has what with them. So there were so many issues around controlling radioactive material in early 2000. The most recent, we had recent incident that occurred between 2018 and 2020, where we had scrap metal that was exported from the Nigerian port to Netherlands and Germany, having radioactive material incorporated in those scrap metal. You will bear with me that radioactive material are stored in what we call the highly enriched uranium, the DU, the depleted uranium for shielding. And this material is very heavy. And you know, all these scavengers, their interest is on heavy metal, right? So if this material is not properly secured and properly handled and is abandoned, if the scavengers come across it, they might not even know the implication of handling it. They might think that they have gotten thick metal for them to go and weigh and sell and get a lot of money. So that was actually what happened for you to find radioactive material in scrap metal. Probably it just found itself in that place because of this activity that I just explained to you. So these are some of the cases that involve this. Now, if you look at this could have some security implication. Yes, the people that exported the scrap metal might not have the intention of using the radioactive material for any malicious purpose. What if somebody that knows the importance of that material gets to discover it beforehand and then takes it out and then use it for malicious purpose? So we need to have an effective regulatory regime to ensure the safety and security of nuclear and other radioactive material within the Nigerian territory. The next slide, please. I hope people are hearing me, right? Am I?
Yes,
okay,
you are audible. We can hear you.
Thank you, because I'm just outside. Thank you very much. So let's look at some of the legally binding international instruments that Nigeria has committed to. We have the Convention on Physical Protection of Nuclear Material and the 2005 amendments. We also have committed to the International Convention for the Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism. Nigeria has equally committed to the International Convention for the Suppression of Financing of Terrorism, the Convention on Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and also the UN Security Council resolutions of 1540 and 1373. We're implementing the provisions of all these conventions that we have committed to. So one thing is to commit to an instrument, another thing is to domesticate the provisions of those international instruments in your national laws. And that is what Nigeria has done. The next slide. The next slide. So okay, yeah. So apart from the legally binding international instruments, Nigeria is also committed to the non-legally binding international instruments, which in this case, we're looking at the IAEA Code of Conduct on Safety and Security of radioactive sources, and the supplementary guidance to the code, both on import and export, and also on the management of disused sealed radioactive sources. So we have committed to all these instruments, and we have domesticated the provisions of these instruments in our regulatory framework and in our legislative framework. Let's go to the next slide. Please, next slide. Thank you. Thank you. So now let's look at the legal framework for nuclear security in Nigeria. Just like I told you before, that Nigeria in 1995 promulgated the Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Act 19, which actually established the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority. The next slide. So by this act, the NNRA is to ensure the protection of life, health, property, and environment from the harmful effects of ionizing radiation, protect, perform all necessary functions to enable Nigeria meet its international safeguards, security, and safety obligations. We are also to advise the federal government on nuclear security, safety, and safeguards matters, and liaise and foster cooperation with international and other organizations that have similar objectives. One of our core regulatory functions is to make regulations prescribing anything that needs to be prescribed under the Act. Please, the next slide. So the Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Act 19 of 1995 has been reviewed to produce the Nuclear Safety, Security, and Safeguards Bill. This will actually repeal the Act 19 of 1995, and it domesticates the provisions of all the international instruments that Nigeria has committed to. Please, let's go to the next slide. The next slide, please. Thank you.
Do you see it? It's on the regulatory framework.
Good. Okay, yeah. Regulatory framework. The Nigerian regulatory framework. The Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority sets out requirements and sanctions in our regulations, right? We establish processes for authorization of practices, inspection, evaluation, and enforcement. And this can be summarized in the 5 pillars of our regulatory control program, which is regulations and guidance, authorization of practice and activities, oversight functions, which is the inspection, the enforcement activities, emergency planning, preparedness and planning, and then ancillary functions. The ancillary functions is where we dish out information, conduct trainings, workshops, and seminars. That is what we have under the ancillary function. These are some of the things we have under that. So please, the next slide. Thank you. Thank you. So when we are looking at our regulatory framework, Nigeria gazetted the Nigerian Safety and Security of Radioactive Sources Regulation in 2006, which actually implements the provisions of the non-legally binding international instrument on IAEA Code of Conduct on Safety and Security of Radioactive Sources. We have also gazetted the Nigerian Physical Protection of Nuclear Material and Nuclear Facilities Regulations in 2021. This actually domesticates the provisions of the CPNM and the amendments in Sec 225 Revision 5, right? Then we have a draft Nigerian Transport Security of Radioactive Material Regulations. We have a draft Nigerian Security of Radioactive Material in Use and Storage Regulations. These two draft regulations are currently with the Ministry of Justice, preparatory for legal drafting. Then we'll have another draft regulation that is under development, which we are going to have the stakeholders review meeting sometime in 2 weeks' time, right? It's called the Draft Nigerian Computer Security of Nuclear and Other Radiological Facilities Regulations. It's under development, just like I said. Please, the next one. The next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. So let's look at some of the activities of the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority in the area of securing vulnerable sources. Sources that have become vulnerable, the material that have gone out of regulatory control that was finally discovered, and then it has to be secured. The sources that the owners can no longer manage them. So these are some of the activities that we'll do to ensure that they are secured. We'll conduct a search and secure program. It's like an annual event for us now at the regulatory body, where we look at some of the facilities or companies that could have used radioactive material, and then we'll go out to those areas and conduct search. This has led to the discovery of many radioactive material, and this have been most of them have been secured in our temporary waste management facility that is at the Center for Energy and Research, Center for Energy Research and Training. Collection and repatriation of legacy sources. We have some sources that we call the legacy sources. Yes, we know the owners, but the owners can no longer manage them. So we have programmed to collect these sources and keep them secured. And some will have gotten international support for the repatriation of some of these sources. We also have developed what we call the nuclear security detection architecture for the detection of material that have gone out of regulatory control. We have developed a draft design plan, and currently we are looking at the stakeholders to be involved to take responsibility based on the national policy on nuclear security detection architecture that have been developed, which assigned various national stakeholders roles and responsibilities. And sometime last year, the IEA supported us in conducting national workshop in the development of concept of cooperation for detection of MOC. So we have that draft document now, which is waiting for national stakeholders review. The NNRA, as a regulatory body, has an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the Center for Energy Research and Training at Zaria, where we have the only research reactor. There too, they have a temporary waste storage facility. So we have an understanding with this center for the storage of some of these legacy sources or some of the orphan sources that have been discovered in the course of our search and secure program. And NNRA maintains this financially with the center. Please, the next slide. Can we go to the next? Perfect. Thank you. So I will just briefly talk you through the Nigerian NSDA, looking at the goal. First of all, one of the goals is to ensure timely detection of illicit trafficking of MOC within the Nigerian territory, to enhance nuclear security detection systems and measures at the designated and undesignated points of entries in Nigeria. In Nigeria, will have several undesignated ports. So this, the NSDA, one of the goals is to ensure that there is detection systems and measures at both the designated ports and the undesignated points of entries. To enhance regional security cooperation in the control of cross-border movement of material out of regulatory. To also enhance operational effectiveness within and among the stakeholder organizations. This is just briefly about the Nigerian NSDA. Please, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Perfect. Good. So now, remember, previously we've looked at the regulatory body's activities in securing vulnerable sources. So we also have set of activities for ensuring the security of material that are under regulatory control. Material under regulatory control, the facilities that have the authorization to use this material. Yeah, for the fact that they have the authorization to use it does not mean that we don't still conduct oversight on them to ensure that they are properly used in a safe and secure manner. So one of it is a system of inspection. We'll have a process of inspecting these facilities from time to time to ensure compliance to the requirements, to the regulations, right? We also have process of authorization of practices and activities. Review and assessment will conduct review and assessment of facility documentation, right? To see if who can grant them authorization or permits. Threat assessment and development of DBT will have a design-basis threat document that we have developed for all category 1 and for the nuclear facility in Nigeria that looked at all the applicable threats and then requested the facilities to design their facility based on the threat information that have been provided for them through this threat assessment. We also conduct what we call verified inventory. Yes, from time to time, we'll go to these facilities that even have authorization to ensure that what they told us that they have, if they say they have 20 radioactive sources with them, we'll go to verify if it's still that 20. If anything is missing or something is added, we need to know why that was done without permit. And most times we'll carry out enforcement on them. We also have a system of import and export control. So for us now, radioactive sources are imported through the ports that have detection capabilities. That is the system that we operate currently. We have transportation assessment with the support of some of our international partners, and they are supporting us to enhance our transport security regime in the country. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So after that, we'll look at sustainability. Every country needs to sustain their nuclear security regime. So what is Nigeria doing in this aspect? We have established a nuclear security coordination center with the purpose of building capacity in both technical and scientific areas. We also have some centers that give diploma certificates on nuclear security in the country. And we are developing instructors' capabilities to be able to train all the national stakeholders in the area of nuclear security. Let's move. Good. Thank you. So Nigeria also is collaborating at international level, both at multilateral and bilateral level. Like our collaboration with the International Atomic Energy Agency, Nigeria is an active participant when it comes to IAEA activities and events. Then we also have bilateral collaboration with different countries, the US, the European Union, the Egyptian regulatory body, who have different collaborative engagement with them at bilateral level. Now, through these collaborations, we have received legislative assistance. We have also received technical support and capacity building support. The next slide. Sorry, I am rushing because I have limited time, right? And now, to the main business of the day, we are looking at women participation in nuclear security for Nigeria. Of course, we have underrepresentation of women in technical, regulatory, and policy roles within several organizations, nuclear security stakeholder organizations. There is limited participation of women in these organizations. That is true. We also have some socio-cultural barriers that limit women access to education. There are some gender biases in recruitment and promotion in some organizations. We know that. Therefore, promoting education, career opportunities for women in sciences, especially in nuclear science, technology, and security is very, very key. This can be achieved through providing scholarships, mentorship programs, and also promoting female role models like Dr. Rabiu, that is here today, can help women overcome these barriers. Let's go to the next slide. So these are some of the challenges to gender integration in nuclear security in Nigeria. Cultural norms and gender roles. There is this adage in my play that I used to say, women education ends in the kitchen. So for some parents, they don't need to spend money to train a woman, because if you train a woman, she will get married and that knowledge will end in the kitchen. That is what they think. But the narrative has changed as it stands today, and we'll have to live up to that as women, right? There are also institutional barriers. What do we mean by these institutional barriers? There is no formalized mechanism for promoting gender equality. You will come for a recruitment exercise, you will see like 90% men and maybe like 10% or less than 10% women. And even at that, the women that might be selected might not even be up to 5%. Ensuring equal participation in leadership roles will also help us overcome this barrier. This affects the overall inclusion of women in security processes. Let's go to the next slide. The way forward, from this slide, increase education and capacity building program targeting women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. These days, you see children, like girls, children in secondary school, they are afraid of mathematics, they are afraid of sciences, they go to the arts. So it's a very big problem, even in the nearest future. We need to encourage women, carry out initiatives to outreach to secondary school, to primary school, to encourage them to have interest in sciences, in technology, in engineering, and mathematics. Initiatives such as scholarships, internships, and fellowships for women in nuclear science and security would also help to bridge this gap. International collaboration and gender integration is also very, very important. Gender-specific advocacy and leadership groups and civil society organizations in Nigeria should do more in this area. They will play a key role in getting ladies out of their shell. Let's go to the next slide. In conclusion, we understood that Nigeria has several applications of nuclear technology in our economy. So we don't need to wait until we have the nuclear power before we can start involving women in this. Gender integration in Nigerian nuclear security framework is essential for enhancing both security and social equity. It's also essential for fostering inclusive governance. You know that where women are, there tend to be peace, right? So we are the peacemakers in the world. We should be included even in governance. For this to happen, we need cultural shift and institutional support. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And if I've taken your time, I am sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ethel. This was so informative. We are so appreciative of all that you shared, of the way forward for Nigeria, of the challenges that they face. I think a lot of us in all of our varied contexts can sympathize because we're experiencing them too in some way, shape, or form. Now, as we transition to our panel discussion, I am inviting our panelists to come onto video. Please and thank you. Okay, we just have a couple more panelists who need to come on video. Chioma A, Prof. Osama.
Sorry, it is Usman.
Usman, so sorry.
Thank you.
No problem. That's what we would like to call my fault. All right, so their bios will be dropped into the chat for you all to engage with them so that you can read more about why we invited them here and the amazing work that they do. But I do want to make sure that we are utilizing our time to ask them questions and to engage with them in live time. Additionally, please leave any questions in the chat. We will be answering all questions at the end of the panel discussion. As Professor Rabia said earlier, we will be starting with Professor Usman because he has to break his fast soon. And so our first question for you, sir, is what gender responsive approaches exists in Nigeria's biosecurity framework?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the forum for organizing this educative event. This is very encouraging. I think in Nigeria, we don't have, as far as biosecurity issue is concerned, activity, it is very, very positive for women, especially when you consider the fact that I serve under an association we call Nigerian Biological Safety Association. This association was given birth to in 2010. And the pioneer president was a woman, Mrs. Tubi Abiola by name. So you can see it is very encouraging. And the activities pursued by this association is related to biosafety and biosecurity. And the person at the forefront of this movement was a woman. So you can see it is positive. Since 2010, women have contributed so much in biosecurity. And when we are talking of biosecurity, don't forget, we are referring to everything that has to do with human security. Because in our environment, wherever we are, we have biological agents. And these biological agents naturally exist, but sometimes people with malicious intention may manipulate these biological agents for the purpose of harm, for the purpose of causing havoc in the environment and in the society. So those championing this cause, among the most powerful activists in this movement were women. We have, as I told you, Tubi Abiola. She pursued this, and then she was supported by some strong men. And among them also, there are some strong women that pursued it up to the extent that in 2015, the federal government of Nigeria established an agency that has to do with biosafety. The agency was established in 2015, and it is called National Biosafety Management Agency. The pioneer director general was the secretary to Mrs. Tubi, and he served for 2 terms, 10 years. Now, after completing his tenure, the person that took over is a woman. You can see. Now, the woman, that woman that took over is called Dr. Yemisi Agnes. She is now the Director General of National Biosafety Management Agency. And under her agency, there is a program on biosecurity. This program on biosecurity, you know, is being overseen and is being regulated in Nigeria. And she is the custodian of biosecurity as far as Nigeria is concerned. So you can, by extension, say that the biosecurity officer of Nigeria is a woman. So you can see this is very encouraging. We have good news as far as biosecurity is concerned, unlike the nuclear security, as mentioned by the keynote speaker. So you can see, and currently, the national president of Nigerian Biological Safety Association is a woman. She is Dr. Stella Udo by name. She's a woman. So you can see the chairman board of trustees for Nigerian Biological Safety Agency, Biological Safety Association is also a woman. So you can see all this. So this is very, very encouraging. And I want to tell you that right now we have an association. It's just a subgroup under Nigerian Biological Safety Association that is called Association of Women in Biosafety and Biosecurity, led by Professor Nkem Torimiro. She is in Obafemi Awolowo University. And the secretary is Dr. Fatima Dantanko. She is a member of this group. So you can see they are making very significant impact in the pursuit and regulation of biosecurity in Nigeria. This is positive. And I can remember in 2023, that is around August, there are some young ladies that secured funding from health security partners, and they were able to write a textbook that is currently being used in Nigeria, either in the Nigerian universities or secondary schools, on biosafety and biosecurity. This book was launched, in August 2023, and it was authored by five young ladies: Mariam Sani, Augusta, Judith Okolo, Fatima Dantanko, and Ifeolua Alabi. These were the women that wrote this book, and it is currently being used in Nigeria. And I want to tell you that in my university, it has been incorporated into the curriculum of Nigerian, in the curriculum of various programs. That is the issue of biosafety and biosecurity, which this book is being used by so many students, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. So you can see this is really positive. And another development in Nigeria regarding biosafety and biosecurity is that there are some funding partners like Sandia National Laboratories and other funding agencies that came up and approached the Nigerian government and said, see, there is need for serious commitment on biosafety and biosecurity. So let us develop curriculum for use in Nigerian universities across all professions related to life sciences, be it medicine, clinical sciences, be it veterinary medicine, and be it all other areas of specialization under life sciences. And when this issue was brought to Nigeria, the National Universities Commission, in collaboration with other professional bodies, regulatory bodies, like Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, like Veterinary Council of Nigeria, and so many other councils, came up and a team was constituted. A team was constituted with a view to come up with a harmonized curriculum for use in Nigerian universities. And let me tell you that the person that chaired that committee, I am among the members, the 11 members that developed the curriculum for biosafety and biosecurity in Nigeria. But the chairperson of that committee was a woman also, Professor Asabe Jikwi. She is a veterinary doctor, a professor of veterinary medicine in the University of Jos. She led the team. And among them, there are so many women, like Professor Fatima Abdul Karim. She is a pathologist in University of Lagos. We have Professor Maria Mukhtar, a medical microbiologist and virologist in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. We have Professor Nkem Tori Miro, who is leading Association of Women in Biosafety and Biosecurity in Nigeria. She's also part of the team. And you can see so many women are there. And then myself and two other men. There is one Professor Confidence, Wachuku, who is now led. So you can see from our own side, it is really positive.
Yes.
I hope I've not overstretched my time. Can I speak more?
No, you
Yes.
have stretched your time, sir. But we
Oh,
thank you so much for all
So
of the women that you named. And
there's one important thing I need to mention. In my university, Bayero University, Kano, we have a professional certificate program on biosafety and biosecurity, and we also have institutional safety committee. In the institutional safety committee constituted, they oversee all researches related to both biological safety, nuclear and radiological safety, as well as chemical safety. And the chairperson of nuclear and radiological safety that regulate all researches related to that in my university, Bayero University, Kano, is Professor Rabia, who is also the team lead of this platform. She is the chairperson of that. So you can see it's really very positive as far as what I have, the progress and achievement is concerned. It is really positive.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Usman, for all of the positive notes that you have mentioned that are happening in your space and across and being extrapolated across Nigeria. You also answered our second question. So if you needed to go break your fast, you're absolutely free to do so, but we would love if you were able to stay and continue to participate with the programming.
Thank you so much.
No problem, sir. Our next question is for Mrs. Isabor. So we heard from Professor Usman about the biosecurity frameworks, about different curriculums that are being developed and things like that. But in your space, what major milestones have been achieved for women in the security sector?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is, good evening, everybody. I see it's a privilege to be here this evening. And I want to say thank you for the organizers of this program. Okay. The Beijing Declaration in 1995 opened the eyes of women to knowing their rights and then to speaking out, and then to speaking out without violence, but knowing when to speak. The Beijing Declaration action and adoption remains the most comprehensive blueprint in advancing women's rights. And so here, these are the significant milestones or achievements after the Beijing Declaration. One is the education of a girl child. There has been tremendous progress in girl child education. Women have pushed for universal primary and secondary education for female, especially in the developing country. Gender gap has reduced in education. E.g. Nigeria, for example, women are encouraged to go to schools rather than marry and widen poverty gap. So another milestone is increased political participation. More women hold leadership positions in government, business, and civil society. E.g. in Nigeria, Rwanda, New Zealand, Finland, and Ethiopia. You see more women participating in political activities. And then there has been legal and policy reform. Many countries have enacted laws to promote gender equality, laws against gender-based violence, workplace discrimination, and child marriage. We now have policies promoting women, promoting equal pay, promoting parental leave. Women can now participate in fully in workplace. We also have economic empowerment. The increased rate of women in workplace, like women now do businesses, entrepreneurship, leadership role, they take leadership role, is a huge achievement in after the Beijing. Women access financial facility. After the Beijing, they were able to know that they can now go into businesses, financial businesses, microfinance, get credits, you know, opportunities. All these things were open to women to know. And then we have strengthened the threats. Another thing is strengthened fight against gender-based violence. The Me Too movement, if we all know, and other global initiatives have shed light on sexual harassment, and also domestic violence and workplace abuse. International framework such as the Lisbon Convention have been adopted to combat gender-based violence. We also have another achievement or milestone after the Beijing conference is the health and reproductive rights. More countries have improved access of contraception, reproductive health science services, and safe childbirth, and maternal rate has declined due to better health access and awareness. You know, now women now know what to do and what not to do in order to prevent them to keep producing children. And then we have women representation in media and culture. Now women are out there, they are into arts, entertainment, and then they speak, projecting the right thing to know about women, projecting the image of the women are right. And so we also have increased representation in peacekeeping operations. The number of women in peacekeeping operation has now increased. Women are focused on promoting women's participation in conflict resolution and peacekeeping efforts. We also have Advanced Women, Peace and Security. We all know Advanced Women and Security, WPS. The NU Security Council has adopted several resolutions on women, peace, and security, recognizing the critical role women play in preventing and resoluting conflict. Now, these challenges remain. While progress has been made, gender pay gap, violence against women, limited access to leadership roles, and cultural barriers still persist, the full realization of Beijing Platform for Action remains an ongoing effort requiring global commitment. The milestone demonstrates progress towards achieving Beijing Declaration goals, but there is still much to be done to ensure women's equal participation in security leadership role. There's still more to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Isabar. That was wonderful and also very informative. I am now going to switch over to Chioma E, who is also on camera. I appreciate that. And I'm wondering what successful models exist for women-led community security initiatives on the more grassroots level.
Thank you, Adriana. Good evening once again, everybody. Good day, good morning.
Good evening.
Yeah. I want to start by saying that women are often seen as victims in cases of conflict, and therefore they are perceived to be powerless and confined to passive role in when it comes to reconciliation, reconstruction of peace, and community and national reconciliation. So instead of being seen as the peace, women are being seen as victims. But evidence abound, however, that whenever women are involved in peacekeeping processes, that the success rate is always very, very high. And an analysis of 40 peace processes in about 35 countries was the success rate was almost always achieved when women groups are able to effectively influence the peace process. And create a more secure environment. So what success role exists for women-led security initiative in Nigeria? Number one is and there are mainly women drawn from the various groups in Kaduna, the Jama, the Gabi group, the Chukun, Kajiru, and so on and so forth. And their role is to resolve conflict and promote peace in the local communities. We also have the Niger Delta Women Peace Initiative, the Plateau State Women Peace Initiative, the Borno Women Peace Initiative, and to mention demonstration against police brutality and the human rights abuses by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS. So, and this demonstration ultimately led to the government over 20 girls in Chibok by the Boko Haram group. Another success tool that have been recorded for community-based non-violent protests and the raise fund also for legal and emergency services. And this was their presence was highly felt during the NSAS protest of 2020. We have also another success model that have existed is non-governmental WCAPS, which is hosting the peace, security, and conflict transformation members, which are female, and are in Nuclear Nigeria. This is another non-governmental organization, which is a body of professional women that are working in the nuclear and radiation-related field. And their major objective is to take the message of nuclear security and the peaceful application of nuclear technology and radiation to the grassroots. And this they do through school outreaches, through organization of webinars, and through seminars. It is worth noting that nuclear security is a very broad area and encompasses areas like physical protection of nuclear material and nuclear facilities, nuclear material accounting and control, security of nuclear material in use, security of nuclear material in storage, and security of nuclear material in transport, security of nuclear sensitive information and cyber security, as well as arms control and non-proliferation. So in summary, and we have at the helm of this nuclear security initiative in Nigeria, the keynote speaker that just gave us a wonderful rendition in the form of Mrs. Ethel Ofebu, who is a coordinator in the Nigeria Nuclear Security Support Center. So in summary, since the Beijing Declaration 30 years ago, 1995, even then, there's still room for improvement, but it's worth noting that Nigerian women have been actively taking the lead in community-based security initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chioma E. I appreciated everything that you said. And I'm American, so I'm learning so much about the Nigerian context for women in security, and I'm loving this. If you are also someone who is learning more about the context of security of the Beijing Declaration in Nigeria as we are continuing to move forward, please drop any questions that you have for our panelists or keynote into the chat. And with that, I'm going to shift over to Chioma A and ask you about the unique contributions women have made to countering violent extremism in Nigeria. So slightly shifting our goals, but still focusing on security and the role that women play in locking it down.
Okay, thank you so much, Adriana. It's been awesome listening to all the women who have been speaking. Okay, our keynote speaker, Chioma that just spoke right now, and then Professor. They've all made great contributions, okay, to the impact that women have made in Nigeria since the declaration of Beijing 30 years ago. Okay, the Beijing Declaration. So when we hear about women's role in countering violent extremism, the first thing I expect us to know is what okay, when someone has an ideology that he or she wants to, give out there, but the person is trying to use force to make people believe it, it matters a lot. The manner in which you're trying to project your ideology to people, that is what extremism is. You can use politics, you can use religious, you can use cultural activities. And at the end of the day, sometimes when their objectives are not bought, okay, they can go back and then decide to think of a way to destabilize a particular nation, society, or community. Okay, and then the extremists are the people, who try to promote or engage, in some of these extremist ideology or behaviors. I know that recently in Nigeria, something just happened in our country, in the Senate. I don't want to go there so much, but if we allow the extremists, it will turn to something else. But I know that everybody felt hot, both parties, both ways. But I know that with time, everything is going to be doused. Okay, sorry, my light has gone out. So everything is going to, change, because people are now, getting involved. They know that some of these extremism cases can lead to war, can lead to, fracas in the society. And women have been doing a lot. I want to start from the villages where we live in. We have what we call a broad meeting, August meeting. This August meeting takes place usually every August of every year. So I don't know about the northern part of Nigeria, but this southern part of Nigeria, women just get ready, travel back to their villages, and what are they going to do? Both the educated and the non-educated ones. They go to the village, they have a meeting, and when they are having this meeting, is a time for them to talk about the security of their communities and villages. They try to speak to their fellow women to let them know that they should speak to their children to make sure, because when a home is not in order, the stubborn kids that were not properly trained will come out into the society and begin to cause mayhem. So these women try everything possible to make sure that, they speak to themselves, talk to their fellow women, tell them the importance of peace and security, and even make them understand how their conflicts can be, brought down both in the homes and in the society. Okay, so the abroad meeting in the southeast is doing a lot. We have Boko Haram happening in the north, in the northern part of Nigeria. And I know that a lot of women are doing a lot to make sure that they try to douse, the fracas there as well, making sure that some of the Boko Haram, group extremists that are causing problem there, they are trying to stop. Sometimes I hear Nigerians saying that they want to go into war, but I still see, despite all odds, women hold their husbands, women hold their children, because they don't want to, see blood in the land. So I think women are doing a lot. Women are doing a lot in Nigeria right now to make sure that we maintain peace and order in different geopolitical zones of our country. So we have women in the Senate, we have women in House of Reps, and each of them representing each constituency. They are doing their best to make sure that, peace and order is maintained in our society. We have university vice chancellors in the form of women. I can count like up to 6 female vice chancellors in the university right now. And before, people think it was not going to be possible, but right now it is very possible, because to make sure that peace and order is maintained in the university. Cultism, cases that can, cause strike and the rest of them, they try to douse it down, and they do everything possible as well to make sure that they maintain gender equality by making sure that women take positions of deans, women take positions of head of department, director of units, because when we come, to the table, we bring different varieties of ideas, okay, and we make things, beautiful. So I am telling you, when it comes to violent cases in Nigeria, women have been positioned in places, and things are really coming down. You see, the time that Boko Haram came into Nigeria, these bad people felt that, okay, they've been doing this, okay, now we can go into kidnapping. So towards the southeast here, it is now kidnapping that we are having. You can kidnap people and you pay a lot of ransom because they feel that you don't have to go on the road and wait for a vehicle, point gun at the driver and collect money or collect a vehicle. That's a chicken change. But we kidnapping a national or an international expat that entered into Nigeria, they can make lots of millions. So right now, women are stepping into different positions in their communities, in the states, House of Assembly, in House of Reps, to make sure that they keep getting to the grassroots. And I also want to appreciate our state governors, okay, in Nigeria here. I know that the office of the state governors' wives are not appreciated so much, or we don't want that office to be there. But I'm telling you, they are also doing a lot, the governor's wives, especially where I am right now. I'm in Ebonyi State. So I know what the governor's wife is doing here. She's moving into the local communities of this area, making sure that she is touching the people down there, the young people who their blood is always, boiling from time to time, looking for a way to cause, problem in the society and our nation. So I give kudos to all these governors' wives, in different states in Nigeria. So I think since, we have not gotten there, we still have a lot to do. We still have a lot of women who are still illiterate. We still have a lot of women who have also been exposed to education, but in the homes, okay, stereotype or patriarchy with their husbands is still trying to drag them backwards. They are trying to find a way to balance the home and make sure that at the work front, they are also giving out their breast. So I think for women are playing lots of wonderful roles in making sure that violence and extremism is brought down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chioma A. We are now moving into our question and answer section. So I have a couple of questions for you all that Ms. Ethel, you will also be asked a question. So if you could come back on video, that would be great. Our first question is for Chioma E. And it's looking at the scalability of security programs that are community-based and what programs could be used to assist in scaling those community-based security programs.
Thank you. To scale up community-based programs, number one, I would say we'll have to strengthen the partnership and the networks. So, and I think community-based initiatives should try as much as possible to identify the relevant partners and build strong networks with them. Such partners could be local organizations, could be government entities, could be law enforcement agency. And when there's a partnership and networking, responsibilities are shared. So it enables shared responsibilities. And to scale up this community-based initiative, I think capacity building and training cannot be overruled. There is need for members of this community initiatives to be trained in conflict resolution, in peacekeeping, and also other security-related skills. So, and this training can be physical as well as it can be visual. The visual will save costs and also tends to reach larger audience. Another way I think that this initiative can be scaled is through inclusive community engagement. Initiatives should ensure that as much as possible, everybody gets involved in the program so as to have a sense of ownership. People's responsibilities should be shared, delegations should be made, and everybody should be carried along. because inclusivity will encourage more widespread community participation. When everyone feels I have a stake in this is my thing, I think it will go a long way in scaling up these initiatives. And another way that this community initiative can be scaled is through the use of technology and innovation. Technology has made life easier. Even though it has its issues, I think the advantages far outweighs the issues. So if community initiative makes use of technology like mobile apps, the social media platform to facilitate communication, and to provide a platform for sharing information with members and also with the wider community. This will enable a faster response time. Then lastly, I think with the importance of monitoring, evaluation, and feedback, very, very important. From time to time, there should be evaluation of the activities of this community-based initiative, and when there are evaluation and feedback to be sought from external forces and even from within, so as to know when to modify and when to make adjustments, and so as to have the best outcome from these community initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is for Isabor. Building on what Chioma just said, I'm wondering, how can we assure sustainable growth in women's security leadership roles, and what challenges have you seen in retention?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, our two chairmen, and then thank you, the two speakers. Ensuring sustainable growth in women's security leadership requires multifaceted approach that addresses various barriers and challenges. And we have various strategies that we can apply in order for us to sustain this growth. One is education and training. Education and training, we have various methods of training. We have mentorship, whether you pair women, you pair women with leaders, women experienced leaders in security to support and guide them. And then we also have leadership development programs. There are these programs that you need to offer to women in security. Programs like leadership skills, strategic planning, and decision making. And then we also have security specific programs. These are security related topics. They have to do with threat assessment, crisis management, and crisis management, threat, and then risk management. And then we can also decide to, initiate security leadership, initiative where women connect with other women to learn. And then we also can introduce peer-to-peer programs where you learn from your other colleagues, And then we also have career advancement. We create career gaps. We outline potential career paths where women can take in order to climb to leadership role. We also have, provide opportunity. We have to also provide opportunity for networking. Let women network with professionals, get ideas from them, have one-on-one relationship, build relationship, and connect with leaders, And then we have promotion and recruitment. Women needs to be promoted to different cadets. They need to be promoted and given new positions in order for them to aspire, in order for them to climb to leadership role. And then women need to be involved in they need to involve women. They need to include women in recruitment. You know, this the way they do sometimes in Nigeria, they feel that the role of a woman is limited to maybe admin, and you know, they don't give the women a decision-making role to play. And so, but this has to be cancelled. Women, they need to include women into security, key security role to play. And then we have organizational support. When we talk about organizational support, it's developing and implementing policies that supports diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is policies that helps women to have flexible work arrangements and paternal leave. You know, policies that help them to have shifts in order for them to, not that they don't have shifts, but shifts that help them, the shift, not a long one, a short one that will help them to balance work and home. They should also establish initiatives that promote diversity and inclusion, you know, such as employment resources group and diversity training. There's another thing that another strategies that we need to put in place for sustainable growth. That is accountability and measures. We need to track measures, progress on diversity and inclusion, and then holding leadership accountable for not including women into promoting them or training them, or that's just helping them to get to that leadership role cadets. And then we need to also train them on unconscious barrier training. This unconscious barrier training has to do with helping women, providing some training that will help them to get over biases, stereotypes, you know, recognize and overcome these biases that make them feel they cannot do it. It is a man's thing, it's a man's duty, it's a man's role, it's a man that speaks, you know. So they need training to get over this mindset. And then we also need to promote inclusive languages and communications. That inclusive languages and communications help them to get over stereotypes and biases. And then we need also to, you know, we need to build a supportive ecosystem. When we say building a supportive ecosystem, we mean collaborating with other industry partners, such as security professionals and leaders, and then conferences, associations. You know, you collaborate with them and then bring women into play, into attending conferences, into involving. That will help them to, you know, create that confidence to attain leadership role. We also need to make sure we engage with women engage with local community promotion awareness, you know, getting them to understand the importance of women security leadership role, you know, by campaigning, by speaking to them, go to committees, you know, talk to women. It is time that they should come up, take a role. It's not just a man word, a woman can do it. And then we also need to make sure that we help them by establishing support network for women in security leadership role, providing a safe space for them to speak. Sometimes women are afraid to share experiences and challenges because they don't know what will come out of them saying one or two things. So there's need to create a strategy that will make women to be free, a space that will make women to be free to express themselves and express their experiences and challenges. And then another strategy that we can apply is ensuring progress and evaluation impact. You know, you benchmark whatever strategies that we are putting in place in order for us to sustain that growth. We have to, you know, benchmark with other international world to make sure that what we're applying it is yielding the results that we want, so that we don't just waste resources, waste human resources and financial resources. And then when we do this evaluation benchmarking, you know, where are we? Where were we in 2023? And where are we in 2024? Where are we in 2025? If you know the strategy, the techniques that you are using is working, then you keep on doing it. But there's need for regular evaluation so that we don't just waste our time thinking that we are growing or we are leading the women there while we are not. And then when we check whatever strategies we are applying in order to sustain women leadership growth, if it's not working, we need to change it. We need to change the strategy. We need to look for another thing to do in order for us to. How do we get it? Is by evaluating, doing regular evaluation. This training that we are giving them, is it working? This exposure that we are giving them, is it working? This what we are doing, are we doing it right? So it is the finding of the regular evaluation that you do that you use to address your strategy. If the strategy that you are using is working, then you continue to use it. So now, in conclusion, by implementing these strategies, organizations can promote sustainable growth. For me, I feel that by implementing these strategies that I just mentioned, organizations can sustain sustainable growth in women's security leadership roles, ultimately driving a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive security leadership role. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabor, for that very thoughtful answer. And I think that it kind of plays into a lot of what we've been saying today, but also into the question in the chat for Chioma A is the last name that I went for, but which is, what role have churches played historically, and what role can they play in increasing inclusivity, education, and training? And I would honestly open that up because I know that Nigeria also has a significant Muslim population and probably populations who are not inclined to be Christian or Muslim. So looking at religion, what roles have the institutions played in broadening things? And to Isabor's point, what kind of tactics have they put into place that weren't necessarily effective, but they won't let go of?
Okay, thank you once again for bringing me up. Okay, we have a lot of churches in Nigeria, and we have a lot of mosques in Nigeria as well. So we know that in our churches and our mosques, our religious bodies, we have women a lot there. And I know that these women in this environment, these institutions, they have been playing a lot of roles as well. Inside the churches in Nigeria, there are different groups. Okay. Let me just talk about the Anglican community. In Anglican community, they have a way of grouping themselves into different groups using the names of the people in the Bible. And why do they do that? They do that so that they can know what is happening within the people's community, okay, or within the people's environment. And I think is helping to make sure that the violent extremism is reduced. In Pentecostal churches, there are so many groups and units in Pentecostal churches, okay, and they use this units to make sure that they inculcate a lot of ideas, norms, good behavior in people. In a large church where there is a pastor can't get to everybody, okay? Bishop can't get to everybody. But with these groups or units in the church, the leaders get to know people. And in those groups, they transmit ideas that will make sure that peace and order, are maintained in our environment, in our society. Okay. You won't believe it. In our churches, we also have security units. If you're a police, if you're working in army, if you're a soldier, if you're a DSS person, and you're our church member, the first thing that when you come in and you've given your life to Christ, the first thing that you're told to do is to look for a unit to enter. And the unit they usually go into is that security unit in church. And when they go into that security unit, I have seen a lot of women working with men there. You hardly hear cases of vehicle thefts or insurgents happening. The security is top notch. They gather a lot of they get a lot of intelligence gathering through those women working with them. Okay, so churches have been playing outstanding roles, but we keep telling them every day that they should keep on doing that, because the church, inside the church is the home where people are coming out from. They all gather in that particular place. So whether people are in the church, whether they are in the mosque, each day we go to the church to worship. Okay, maintaining security and order of this nation, Nigeria. I think both Catholic, Anglican, they talk about it from time to time. So women have been playing roles in those church organizations, and then the church have been playing an important role. I remember the time of Boko Haram. Before you enter the church, they have to scan your vehicle. I don't know, they have to put all these things in place. It wasn't the security force that brought those things in for them. No, on their own. The church rallied around on their own, got everything they needed to make sure that what they need to work efficiently is there. And if there are a group of set that comes into the church and they suspect them, sometimes it sweetens me how they toss them out of the church, or how they are able to, reinforce within themselves. And before you know what is happening, the security outlet in town has come into the church to whisk out whoever that is the extremists that entered into the assembly. Then again, church has played a very good role by making sure that leadership and advocacy, works a lot. So in most of our church activities, we have women as taking leadership roles. Okay, just like our last speaker said, through these leadership roles, they get to network a lot. They get to share ideas. They get support system. Okay, that will make them come out and speak out from time to time. When I spoke the last time, I said something about there are women who have gotten that education. They have taken leadership roles that can make security to be, on ground. But because of the kind of stereotype men, most of them are married to, it makes their work very difficult for them. It makes them not to, sometimes let's assume that work is calling at the office and the children need to eat. The woman will be thinking, am I to take care of the kids, or am I to attend to, the security issue that came up in the office? When we have understanding spouses, it makes women to, get to the rooftop, doing, excellently, in making sure that we douse all the insurgents and violent extremism that is happening. So church has been, I know that they will do more, because all of us, whether I'm a DSS person, whether I'm a soldier, whether I'm a policeman, whether I'm working with FAAN, we all go to church. And inside that church, the church needs our ideas. And these ideas are what we are bringing together, as a formidable force to make sure that things are okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chioma. Our last question for the Q&A portion of this presentation is for Ms. Ethel. And it is to follow up on taking action. I believe that data in public space can help to know where exactly we are. So what metrics should we use to measure the success over a period of time, say the next 5 years? Ms. Ethel, if you're still on, please join us on camera. I know I have her in my participant list, but I also know she said she had to step away for another meeting. So she doesn't come on in like the next minute. We will move to another question. Yeah, that feels like a minute. So my last question for all of our panelists is, when you are thinking about your own journey to your current positions and the roles that you hold, what has continued to push you forward and encourage you to continue to reject cultural norms? And what support systems have you developed along the way that others might be able to take advantage of? I am going to ask that each panelist keep their answer to under a minute, please and thank you, so that we can be respectful of time.
Okay, for mine is the willpower and the ability that I can do it, and meeting I want to achieve, and then I want to make record, and I want to help my nation. Those are the willing power. I want this. I want to make a difference. I want to make a legacy that you will come tomorrow to talk about. And I want to say hard work and ready to do it. Whatever work, whatever thing, whatever assignments that I'm being given, I want to challenge myself that I can do it. And so even if it's not in my line, I try to read, research in order to get knowledge of that line to deliver. I am here today, not that I am a full expert in security. I am grounded in fire safety and life safety. But then I drove into security line because I want to know. And then because I want to be able to assist other women, other fellow women. I want to see other fellow women. My word is inspire, inclusion, engage. If it's inspire, what am I doing to inspire the other woman? Am I being positive in my doing or being negative because I am a role model? They are looking at me. Some are looking at me and wanting to do what I'm doing. And then if you say inspire, who am I investing on? And so I don't make my money for myself. I make it to help others. So there are a lot of things, a lot of positive will that keeps, for me, you said me, that keeps me where I am. Not being selfish. I want another woman to grow. I want to have a replicant of me.
Well, that is great, Isidore. You are in your minute. So okay. I'm going to shift over to Chioma E to answer the same question. What is it that continues to drive your fire and keep you committed to the work that you do?
Thank you, Adriana. So what drives me, what gives me that I want to go more is that I want to be rise to a position where I'll be like a role model to others. When I see the younger generation of women coming up, I want to get to that position where when role models are being mentioned, I'll be there. I want to impact lives, especially women, young women. I want to impact life and tell them that it's very, very possible that whatever they aspire, that they can be. So that's what keeps me going. Thank you.
Thank you. Chioma A., do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, thank you so much, Adriana, for asking us what drives us. When I was growing up as a child, the only person I looked up to were my dad and my mom. They played great mentorship role. And growing up, I came to realize that I've been empowered to empower others. And each time I see one person get empowered from my mentorship, I feel so good. It gives me joy. It's my billions of words. Okay. When I see my colleagues, I empower them to get their PhD. I just go in and cry and say, God, you've done it again. I see master students. I see people in other aspects of, economics, social sciences, and I'm still making impact that way. Despite the fact that I'm a STEM woman, it gives me joy. So there's something I usually tell them: imagine, believe, and activate. It takes imagining for you to believe, and it takes believing for you to go into action. If you don't put these three together, you cannot make an impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. During this time in our session, we are switching to more interactive engagement, and I would like to invite Dr. Yvonne Omonoya and Dr. Etinosa Ikpo to turn on your cameras.
We should switch our camera off.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ladies, I'm turning this session over to you. Enjoy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone.
Good
It's
evening.
been amazing. It's been amazing listening to all the speakers, the keynote speaker, and the panelists. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure we've all picked up something in the course of the discussions. So I just want to welcome you to this solution workshop. We hope to, at the end of the day, bring up insights that will lead to concrete actions. So I am Yvonne Omoya, and with me for this section is Dr. Etinosa Ikpo. We'll be guiding you through the collaborative session. And the goal is to develop practical strategies that can advance women's leadership in Nigeria's peace and security sectors. So we'll just start by trying to build points from the discussions we've had so far. So first, I'd like everyone to reflect on one key challenge mentioned today that resonates with you, and then what provide a potential solution. So you could just drop this in the chat box while we go on with the other aspects of the discussion. So please make use of your chat box. Let the sentences just be like 1 or 2 sentences. Just tell us which of the challenges mentioned so far resonates with you, and then provide a solution. So we'll keep looking at the chat box to see your comments, and then we'll discuss them as we go on. So going forward, for me, I'll start by sharing what one of the challenges that resonates with me. For me, I see from the discussions we had from Professor Usman's presentation on down to the two chairmans and Isibo Mercy, we see that it's reoccurring. Although Professor Osman made us to understand that women are fully involved, are fully included in biosecurity matters in Nigeria. We also know that from the discussions of the other panelists, we see that there's a recurring issue that has to do with the need for cultural shifts, because we know in our country, the patriarchy system is, well grounded in most of the cultures. So for me, that resonates with me. And I also agree with Shoma when she said that she gave an instance of a model that is used in the Southeast, which is the August meeting forum, which I see it as a model that could be replicated across cultures, across the regions in Nigeria. Because these are forums, these are pressure groups that are very, very key for providing forums for women to participate in conflict resolution. Because the outcomes of such meetings, such forums, usually you have the mighty and then you have the less privileged, and they all come together in this sort of forums to, discuss challenges, to profile solutions, to empower women, to make women, see the need to talk to their children. And I feel it's a kind of model that will go around other regions and be able to make impact. Because with that, we'll be sure that at least the issue of extremism will drop, and then we'll also be sure that the youth will value peace and be willing to participate in peace missions. So for me, that's one thing that resonates with me. So I'll be calling on Dr. Etinosa to share with us what resonates with her, while we hope that you all drop your own comments in the chat section, please. So Dr. Etinosa, you have the floor.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yvonne, and thanks everybody for having me in this session. One of the words that actually resonated with me has to do with what the keynote speaker talked about. She talked about nuclear science and the fact that there are several sectors that are associated with the nuclear energy and nuclear science. And it really opened my eyes to it, that a healthcare professional in petroleum engineering, mining, manufacturing, construction, agriculture, and education, we can have our place as women. But I kept asking myself, how many women are aware of these subsections in this male-dominated career per se? Do we teach our children about it? Are they aware of it? Are the young ladies aware? Or they're just taught that there are some courses that women should go into? That really touched me and it opened my eyes. And I also feel that as mothers and as women, as security people who are propagating security in our community, we should encourage young women by having personalized mentorship. Personalized mentorship is the key. When I say personalized mentorship, it's one thing to have different trainings, different programs, but do we do one-on-one mentorship? Pick up a girl, a young group of girls or young group of upcoming ladies to groom them, that these are areas they can go into that is not usually male-dominated. I myself, I have also fallen short of that when my daughter told me she wanted to study architecture. Not that we don't see a lot of women studying architecture. It's not that in my zone or in my area, it's not very common. I didn't quite say it, but in my mind, I said, you didn't see pharmacy, you didn't see medicine, you didn't see nursing. I didn't say it to her, but if somebody as educated as I am can have such mindset, not to talk of people who are not as exposed as we are per se. So it's high time for those of us in this field and other field to bring up young women, personalized mentorship, bring up young women, exposing them to career paths in this area. Like one of our speakers said, that when women are involved in conflict resolution, when women are involved in different committees or in different sectors, we do better. So I want to encourage us today to open up the girl child to these areas that it seems like they are male-dominated, so that life can be better for us. Thank you very much. Dr. Yvonne, please.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Itinosa. As I drop another point, please look through the chats. We'd like to know what the audience are saying. So I agree with what Dr. Tinosa said. And I think two of our speakers mentioned the fact that it was that when women are involved in conflict resolution, that the success rate is quite high. And this is not just a statement, it was born out of research, and I want to believe that this is the reality for us. So it's key that women are encouraged. Like Mercy Isibo listed a lot of strategies in which we could change the challenge, in which we could handle the challenges we currently face. And one of such solution was mentoring, when she talked about education and training. And this is key for me. That is what Dr. Itinosa has also mentioned. So mentoring cannot be overemphasized, and then providing the opportunity for networking. Then we also know that in several sectors, women are not included. So we have to be included, and we don't have to wait. When you shine bright, like Mercy also said, that she believes in hard work. She believes in let that which drives you. We've seen in the chat box a lot of people talking about how making impact drives them. They want to, show that positive energy. They are driven by the fact that they want to leave a legacy, they want to make impact, and they want to see people grow. And some of us have also stated that we want to be seen as role models. So I believe Mercy gave a lot of solutions, suggestions that will lead to solutions. So in whatever sphere we find ourselves, it's important that we encourage women around us to overcome these barriers that we face. And also, it's important to build safe, support systems. Building safe support systems is key for me. So, having said that, I'll ask Dr. Tinosa to, from the chat box, tell us which themes you see reoccurring and what are the solutions being provided from the chat box. Please go ahead, please.
Okay. What I'm seeing here is enhanced visibility. That's from our keynote speaker. Enhanced visibility and recognition of women in security. This is very key because it highlights that women have had successful story in security and leadership, but how many are they really? And do we talk about it? Do we talk about them? Another thing she said is establish an annual Women in Security Awards. This is beautiful, to recognize outstanding female security professionals. We encourage women to take up leadership roles in sectors, security committees, and in policies, advocacies, and in several boards.
Okay, we also see one question to the keynote speaker or any other person that can take it to follow up on this taking action. I believe that data in public space can help to know where exactly we are. So what metrics should we use to measure the success over a period of time, say the next 5 years? So I don't know if the keynote speaker is still on call. She could attend to this.
Okay, sorry, am I permitted to speak?
Yes, you are, please.
Okay, that's this thing that the point that she just read is my own challenge that I dropped, not the keynote speaker, it's Mercy Ebele. And then I gave the solution to it.
Okay, maybe you could just speak on it, please.
I said you gave us an assignment that we should drop one of. So I said enhancing visibility and recognition of women in security leadership is a challenge.
Okay.
So now, and I gave a solution to it. I said regularly, there should be an avenue where we regularly highlight success stories of women in security leadership role. I don't see them being celebrated. I don't know, maybe I don't watch. I don't see an event where women are being, maybe their success story is being highlighted for people to read and get inspired by their journey so far. So I'm saying that we highlight success stories of women in security leadership through maybe internal publication, that's companies publication, industry events, just as we are doing now. And we mention names. We first of all recognize those that we know that have really put in so much to get us to where we are. Then media campaigns, we talk about them. Then another thing is establish annual women security awards. Those in police, in this, in that, we can come together, we give award, we recognize, and then give awards to them to recognizing outstanding female security professionals. Then we can also encourage women to take up a leadership role, maybe by forming committees. I don't know, but those are my own ideas that I have, solution that I prefer for that challenge.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you be able to share resources, possible resources that you think would be useful in doing this, in achieving this at the moment, or you can drop in the chat box as well?
Yes, but for when you talk about regularly highlight success stories of women in security, this one does not have to do with a particular sector, meaning that there's going to be a committee, the leaders, the top leaders, the high in profession in security that will come together to really look deep into each person's contribution. But this time around, the government has to come in, both federal and state governments. They have to be involved. Resources will come from there. Then we have private and federal, then individual. So because this one is a huge one that has to do with the nation as a whole. It's not just a particular sector recognizing. It's all the security coming together to form one body. This is not just like we are doing now. So, and then this annual Female Security Award is still forming a body. And maybe now we now have, it's now going to be like a National Security Female Award. So it's not just one, it's not Nigeria.
Okay, that's taking.
My
okay,
hand
that's
is up.
taking. Yes, we have Chiama's hand up. And while Chiama is making her comments, please, we just want to remind you that WCAPS Nigeria will compile today's solutions into a resource document to be shared with all participants. So please, while you share the specific action you personally commit to taking in 30 days, advance these solutions, please indicate also if you would like to join a follow-up working group on any of today's key themes. So please just indicate in the chat box. So Chioma, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm just trying to, let me just add a little bit to what Isebo was saying. Okay. Women in security are not celebrated at all. And it's not as if they are not doing anything. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a security woman. I wanted to be an army official. And my dad rejected it. I felt bad that I was not allowed. So each time I was growing up as a child, I always watched movies about women who fought wars, women who, tried to solve one problem or the other for a country. So how can we celebrate them? Let us start with conferences. I've never seen where they are saying Women in Security Conference. If they can say an annual conference of women in security, whether you are in soldier, you're a soldier in DSS, they all come together annually. And then other persons in biosafety, biosecurity, okay, and other aspects of security, they all hear about the conference, and we pay for the conference and attend the conference. While attending this conference, the women who have done outstanding things in security, they will be honored in those conferences. I think this is a good way to start. Like that, we can
thank you. Thank you, Chema. So we'll just have a minute. We'll take Sadika in a minute, please. In a minute, please. Is Sadika there? Sadika Omar? Okay, so since she's not there, so we'll just round up this session. And in rounding up, I want to thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Oh, okay. Dr. Tinosa.
I'd like to talk about, yes, I'd like to talk about women supporting women. Just like we're talking about security, celebrating women in security. Many times, some women are discouraged from doing one thing or the other because we discourage each other. Please, let's try and support each other more and try and understand each other. I'm sure that will encourage more women to participate in these male-dominated areas.
Yeah, that's a PowerPoint. Thank you so much, Dr. Tinosa. And I want to thank everyone for their contributions. And today's solutions workshop demonstrates the power of collaborative thinking. With your commitment and networks we are building, we can create meaningful progress for women in peace and security. Remember that sustainable change requires both institutional reform and individual action. WCAPS Nigeria is committed to supporting your efforts, and we look forward to continuing the important work together. Thank you to my co-moderator, Dr. Tinosa, for making this session seamless, and to WCAPS Nigeria for the opportunity to serve this capacity. So we look forward to having the points from this session as compiled by WCAPS, which will be shared with all participants. Thank you. So I hand over to Adriana. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you to WCAPS Nigeria for the work that you put in to produce the CSW69 parallel event. I had such a good time learning with you all, a good time to see the challenges that are similar to what we deal with here in the US or what I've encountered from my friends around the globe, and also to hear a lot about the solutions and the ways forward. And I would have to touch and agree with Precious about women celebrating women and standing shoulder to shoulder and supporting each other. So if we take nothing away from this, let us take away the need for support. Someone put into the chat, introducing peer-to-peer mentorship programs powered by government, but also powered by individuals such as those who are on this call. Once again, thank you for your time today. Thank you to our keynote speaker. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to all who joined. Enjoy the rest of your CSW experience, and we look forward to seeing you in other spaces. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for
Bye-bye, everyone.
including us. Take care. Be more security conscious.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye, Prof. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
I hope to see you again very soon. Yeah.
Hopefully.